having your cup full and how do you empty it means many things. And the different elements of full cupness, different elements. Sometimes one's cup could be full with useless information, with junk, bottled stuff that you learned. And in levels of bottle, it could be something that's weak, something that wasn't really applicable, or it could be total crap. No sugar on top, garbage, rubbish. Some bottled, bogus stuff that you learned in your country where you came from, or when you have reverted to Islam, or wherever the case may be. And it's something that's totally bottled, useless, fabricated hadiths, total weak, baseless practices of fiqh, false aqidah, and which has to be discarded instantly, immediately, if you want to progress, of course. Sometimes the concept of a full cup could mean information that's maybe sound, but it's useless. It's not applicable. It's outdated. Those teachings are it's totally outdated. It's dinosaur compared to the things that are available, the things that are being taught and spoken on, and the level of the people. You study what some person he says, and this is just general, it's no disrespect to nobody, but it's a reality. You say, well, yeah, you know, my imam, brother Fulan, he's a nice brother, 65 years old, 70 years old, no disrespect to nobody old, but just a general rule. My imam in this masjid, in this city, in this borough is good. And then you have this guy, he's been to Yemen, overseas, Medina, Egypt, It's a whole nother world of imam now. It's a whole nother world of student of knowledge. It's a whole nother world of da'i. And this brother, for one reason or another, he refused. First of all, this older brother may never have even studied Islam formally. He went to an imam convention, imam summit, but he never studied Islam properly. He was never taught properly, let alone trained to be an imam properly. Let alone in the 70s and the 60s, how many books were unavailable? How many books were they reading the English transliteration, Roman transliteration? And this guy here, he's graduated from, let's say, Egypt, from Azhar. He's studied these books in Arabic by heart, memorized them, studied actual fiqh from A to Z. He's qualified to lead the salah. He's memorized Quran. There's no comparison. So this imam's teachings, inshallah, they're beneficial. They give advice. He's been serving the community. May Allah bless him, may Allah help him. But he cannot stand in the ring with what? This it's just like sports. Okay, the sports that the people say. The athleticism is like what? Night and day today. In 2017, then let's say, for example, the Jordan era. Everybody understand this? This was the brothers say. I'm not a big basketball person like that. But this is what they say. That the guys playing nowadays are like what? No comparison. It's like night and day. So that's something you may have to what? Empty your cup. It's time to start from the beginning. This guy is, he's a good brother. A good imam. He's a community leader, like a chief of a tribe. But ilm, knowledge, him being a scholar, malish. Let alone his communication to the people. He may be outdated, or maybe somebody comes from another country. This brother, he came from Pakistan. He's a good brother. He has knowledge, but he can barely speak English. He speaks with a heavy accent. He talks, he cannot relate to the youth. The young kids, they're just sitting there looking like, what is this old guy talking about? That's one concept. Also, emptying a cup may be for a person who's trying to seek knowledge. Bismillah. You may come to the table with presupposed ideas. Isn't it supposed to be like this? Or I've learned. Or we know. I know. I was taught. What is the ruling on wearing green? That's all you should say. Is it permissible to wear white? Nah, I know that it's permissible to wear white, but I want to know. That's what the cup is full. You're coming to the table with what? With information. And it's a problem. First and foremost is, I can't give you nothing if you know everything. Second of all, it proves a lack of humility. And it proves, not totally, but it proves relative amount of arrogance. Meaning I have to tell you that I know something. Everybody understand? I'm not a complete idiot, all right? I know something. And no one say you're an idiot. No one wants you to be an idiot. But at the same time, what? You got to empty the cup. And maybe you'll what? Get something poured in it that's bigger and better. Another concept of emptying the cup is you may bring information to the table, which is true information. It's factual information. It's beneficial information. It's good stuff from other teachers, other sources, other websites. But if you know so much, that means I'm only going to give you what? Just a bit. Even though you may have room for it. But I'm not going to exert myself because you're already khalas. But you come to me saying, teach me. I want to be your student. I want to be your disciple. Tell me everything that you know. Where do you want me to start? I don't know anything. That's a different story. Everybody saying this? And it doesn't mean that everything I say is useful myself. It doesn't mean that everything you have to agree with, but it means you set the information that you have in your mind to the what? To the side. And you allow all of my information to be poured in. Then when you're done studying with me, you've graduated from me, you've left me, then you pick and choose. Mufti said this, I don't agree with him on that. He said this is major. I have this from my other teacher. Now I do what? Merge them together. Then I have a whole nother level of ilm. But if you come and you're not willing to just move it to the side, that's a problem. Let alone the fact that being willing to consider the information. You may have been formally trained, you may have studied, but let's sit down and let's talk about it scholastically. Are you sure about this aqeedah that you're saying? You can't say Allah is above the arsh. Why not? You can't say that. Because I learned in Egypt, Allah doesn't have a makan. It puts Allah so and so. All right, tayyib. Let's sit down and let's look at the kitab and sunnah. Let's read what the Quran says. Let's find the word istawla. Let's find his line of poetry. Let's find where the Sahaba said what you're saying. Let's go back and let's look at the history of theology, of rhetoric. Let's see the isnad of the Aqidah of Ash'ariyah. Mathalan. Nanzur. Let's sit down. You're a graduate from Azhar. I'm a graduate from Medina. Obviously, there's different levels and phases of Azhar University. But let's just say hypothetically, this person from Azhar University, hypothetically, this doesn't mean everybody's like this. So don't say this. But let's say hypothetically, this person from Azhar is saying he is an Ash'ari. And he believes that it is haram to say that Allah thumma stawa al arsh. That that's metaphorical. Allah is not in a place. No problem. And then we have a student of knowledge from Medina. Okay? And he has the traditional, whatever you want to say, Wahhabi, Hanbali, Ibn Taymiyyah Aqidah. That Allah is above the arsh. As he said in the Quran and as the Prophet ﷺ clearly explained to us that Allah is above all of his creation. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tayyib. So let's sit down. We're both graduates. Or we both have master's degrees. We both have doctor's degrees. Let's sit down as two scholastic people and let's debate. And let's look. Your Aqidah, where does it come from? It's very simple. It's very easy to be traced back. My Aqidah, where does it come from? You call it tajseem, whatever word you want to give it, but where is the isnad? It can be directly traced back to the Sahaba, to the Prophet, clearly. Your isnad is going to go back to Imam Abul Hasan Ash'ari, and where does his Aqidah come from? How did he grow up? The Mu'tazila, the Kullabiyya, and this one and that one, then that's a huge problem. To the Khulafa of Baghdad, the different caliphs that took the kalam of the Romans, the Greeks, the Persians, the Egyptians, and they mixed and jumbled that stuff up into what we call today the mantiq and the stuff today. So him being a scholar is going to be somebody that has to empty his cup on this level. Let's debate it. And you may be right. But I'm unwilling. I'm totally fanatical. That's also included in what? Not emptying your what? Your cup. Everybody clear on this? And the benefit of it is obvious. Empty the cup to obtain totality. To get a lot, you have to what? Pour it out. You don't go shopping what?
Full cart.
Full cart. You don't go shopping with you go shop. Sheikh Mahdi, when you go to the market, what are the carts? They're what? They're empty. And then you're supposed to do what? Fill them up. Rather, as you said, the experts say it's a disaster to shop when you're what? When you're hungry. طيب خلاص والله أعلم.
But I also asked,
how do you empty your cup? By listening to what we just said. Don't ask how, but just think about what we just said. Let that resonate in your brain. Let that what? Marinate. You know, you marinate the meat. You put it in the refrigerator, or you for how long you marinate it?
Depends what you're cooking.
At least how long?
Couple of hours.
At least a couple of hours. Let it marinate, huh? Let it marinate, inshallah. So just think about it. How do I do this? Before you jump into how, you need to think about why. And it's a major problem that many people they make. How do I become a student of knowledge? How do I do this? How do I get married? How do we make a community? Why do we need to establish community? Why do I need to be a student of knowledge? Why should I care that? You have to understand the obligation of a thing and the importance of the thing and the harm of not doing that thing. So just look at the harm of having a full cup, or we say full cupness, or full cupism. Look at the harm of that. Once you let that what? Marinate. They say lower the, bring it to a boil, mix the contents, and then what?
Let it simmer.
Just let it simmer. Let it simmer on your mind for a little bit. Then you come back to me and say what?
Why?
How? To empty the cup. See? Wallahu alam.